Pamela. So with the running contact on the A-frame, the most important thing is to allow the dog to stride through naturally, is to not slow yourself down. So you can see here that after you cue the frame, you slow yourself down and you actually take like very small steps. And then what happens is that the dog also reduces their stride, and that's why he ends up like jumping so close there. So there's a few things you can do. Either you can run full speed and get past the A-frame before he's coming down, and that way he's more likely to extend his stride and hit the colour. If you want a more reliable A-frame where your position and your motion is not important, then I would recommend a stride regulator. You can do that on full height A-frame. What I do myself is I just use a jump bar that's hollow, and I put a rope through the jump bar and then put the jump bar across here and then tie the rope on the back of the A-frame around. And so that way it stays in place. You just have to make it quite tight so it sort of stays there. And that way the dog comes down, they jump the jump bar and land in the coloured section and then come off. And what you would need to do is just lots of repetition with a placed reward. And as soon as he does the jump into this section, that you mark that bit with a yes or a click. And then practice you doing all sorts of handling. So running past and doing a blind cross, doing a rear cross before the A-frame, running past and doing like a lateral push, running on the dog's line. He has to be able to handle all of that. And you being too far behind, you being super far ahead, all of those things with placed rewards. And any time that he jumps into that coloured section, mark yes. And then what you can do is move the bowl to the next obstacle, or the treat and train, or whatever you're using as the reward. So then he's doing the A-frame, doing the obstacle after, and then getting the reward. And then you can start adding it into lots of different kinds of sequences. Personally, I leave the jump bar on until basically the dog doesn't even realize it's there anymore. So it might be 6 months of every time I use the A-frame, it has the regulator on there. And then eventually fading it. And when you fade it, you would take it off, let's say leave it on for 1 rep, then take it off the next rep, see what the dog does, then put it back on for a rep, then take it off for a rep, and then sort of increase the amount of reps that it's off. But still every now and then put it back on so the dog doesn't start to assume that it won't be on. And anytime that you're trying something new or you're having an issue and he's regressing a bit, you can put it back on. I do have students who use the stride regulator every time in training, and the dog just has become so used to it that in a competition they always hit the same way as they do with the regulator on, but they just always leave it on. So that is also an option to try. But I think if he already understands a running dog walk, then fading the regulator won't take that long. So that would be my recommendation.